Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome back to more 428 Shibuya Scramble. My name is Raven from the Sky. Now let's do this. Kanan? Kano muttered. What's Kanan? The stench of blood hung heavy in the basement bar. Stanley was silent, staring at the criminal's corpse. Hey, do you know anything about this? Kano asked. Still, Stanley gave no response. The silent treatment again, huh? Kano huffed. The American glanced at him gravely. In all likelihood, the one who did this was acting alone. Alone? Against this many other people? On Earth? Who on Earth? There's no need for you to know. Cut the crap. He grabbed Stanley by the collar. If there's someone involved in this case who's capable of something like this, I need to know about it. How am I supposed to do my job if you keep me in the dark? Stanley remained stone-faced. Look, I'm not afraid of the risk, Kano said. And I'll be a lot more effective if you at least fill me in on the basics here. The more you know, the sooner you'll wind up dead. Kano tightened his grip. But it's okay if I wind up dead while I'm still in the dark, huh? Fine. I'll answer your first question. He brushed Kano's arm aside. Kanan is the name of a covert operative from the Middle East. Is it Kanan or Kanan? In simple terms, a type of spy that infiltrates hostile territory to carry out various clandestine activities. I believe she's the one who killed these people here. The Middle East? A covert operative? Kanan was the one who provided the intel escapees used to get out. Kano was at a loss for words. The case was suddenly starting to seem a whole lot more sinister. Whoever this Kanan was, she'd apparently killed nearly a dozen people with only a knife. She was clearly no one to trifle with. Just what kind of individual were they dealing with here? He could scarcely imagine. Once again, Kano surveyed the crime scene. Each of the murdered criminals had had his throat slit. From the look of the deep, clean cuts, the killer hadn't hesitated in the slightest. Okay, so then what connection does this Kanan have with the mastermind behind the kidnapping? If Kanan had killed all of the foreign syndicate members in this bar, did that mean she and the person behind the kidnapping were enemies? Or perhaps she and the kidnapper were working in concert and she carried out the slayings as part of some plan to get rid of some loose ends. I believe I said that I'd answer one question. Turning away, Stanley picked up a file from atop a nearby table. Apparently, he wasn't in the sharing mood. Realizing that further questions would be pointless, Kano peered sidelong at the file as Stanley opened it. Inside was a detailed map of Shibuya. There were various routes marked with arrows and times. That's the plan for the ransom relay. Kano was so excited he blurted his thoughts out loud. It appeared that the ultimate goal for the ransom was a condominium. The address and the time, 4:20, were written in red ink. Kano put in an immediately called to the investigation task force to relay this information. The final destination is Ground Hill 405 and Hiru 534 Shibuya. Alright, Kuze told him. We'll look into who owns the condo in question. You and Stanley head over there now. I'm sending backup to go in with you. You have authorization to apprehend the suspect. Finally, hearing the order that he'd so long been waiting for, Kano felt a spark of determination flare inside him. All right, let's go, he said, some of his excitement slipping into his voice. Stanley, still solemn, closed the file and followed him out the bar. Stanley drove along Inoshira Dori toward Hiru, where the finish line for the ransom relay was located. His demeanor was cold and brooding, in sharp contrast with Kano's gun-ho readiness. He seemed lost in some deep and cheerless thought. Kuze's voice came in over the wireless as the car came out onto Meiji Dori. We've identified the owner of the condominium. It's... Kano held his breath in anticipation. The name Kuze spoke caught him by surprise entirely. No! What? Who was it? What the heck? Don't do that. Don't do that. I'm getting bad endings all over the place. I gotta figure something out. Cause now I'm stuck. Detective. Let me see if it'll let me jump. It has to keep it going because I'm stuck. Nope. Let's try this jump. See, I got stuck like this before, but, I just edited it out. Took me a while to figure it out, and I finally gave in and looked at YouTube. Pretty Honey. Shinya Kano's girlfriend. Now we can jump. Mamoru Tanaka. He's a colleague of Kenji Osawa. What? Kano squawked. This was an unexpected twist. Kajira confirms that Tanaka left the Osawa residence at just after 1400 hours. No word on his movement since then. It's possible he headed to his private condo where the attaché case is slated to end up. Any officer who runs across Tanaka is to apprehend him on sight. Kuze cut the connection. This mastermind you've been chasing, Kano asks. Is it Tanaka? Stanley didn't reply. Fine, never mind. I just wish I could know if Teteno is safe. Still worried about that traitor, huh? So Stanley could ignore all of his questions, but still remember to make snide remarks. Talking about Teteno's the only thing that gets a reaction out of you, isn't it? Kano snorted. What makes you so certain he can't be a traitor? Teteno just isn't like that. That's not an answer, Stanley scoffed. Alright, I've watched a man work for years. I know him. He has no reason to betray the Force. You've watched him work, huh? What about his private life then? You know all about that too? He hasn't had money trouble or anything like that. Kano felt his blood starting to boil. I don't care what you think, he said. I trust Detective Tatino. Trust him? On what basis? I don't need any basis to have faith in someone, Kano snapped. Without any basis, in fact. It's just plain sentimentality. There is no reason or logic to it. A thin smile came to his face. But they, friends or family, you can never really know other people. The only person you can trust is yourself. Kano had no response for such an emotionless statement. He looked away. He and Stanley were just plain incompatible. Seemed like no amount of talking would let them get through to one another. Never take anything at face value, Kano. You start trusting too much, you're basically as good as dead. Kano just stared out the window. The Shibuya precinct came into view. Tanaka's condo wasn't much further now. They were outside of Tanaka's condo now. Over there, Stanley said, keeping his voice down. Across the street was one of the foreign syndicate members, walking briskly, the attache case clutched at his side. I'm making the arrest. Kano, wait! Stanley exclaimed. Kano heard him loud and clear, but he had no intention of stopping. He approached the criminal at full speed and leaped to tackle him around the waist. The two men fell to the pavement in a tangled heap. The collision sent the attache case flying. Kano's eyes tracked the case for a moment too long. He was caught off guard when the man threw a punch at him. Oh! The blow caught him right in the jaw, snapping his head back. For a moment, Kano saw stars. As he shook off the impact, the man sprang to his feet and sprinted away in the direction of Stanley's car. Stanley, Kano shouted. Grab him! Get the case! Oh, God. I feel like he could grab him and then we'll get the case. Stan ignored the man and instead went for the attache. So he went for the case anyway. So what was the point of the choice? We better not get a bad ending for that. We shouldn't be penalized if they're going to ignore the command. Oh, come on, really? Kano had no choice but to pursue the perp himself. He hadn't come this far just to let the crooks get away now. Suddenly, the fleeing man skidded to a stop. Oh! Several cars had pulled across the road ahead and detectives were pouring out of them. His escape route cut off, the criminal resigned himself to capture. He had no choice. While Kano helped make the arrest, several of the other detectives broke into Tanaka's condo. Oh man, we're closing in. We're closing in. I still don't think Tanaka is the mastermind, though. He may have owned the condo. He might play a part, but I wonder who the actual mastermind is. Stanley, meanwhile, was carefully inspecting the exterior of the attache case. He already opened it. It was stuffed with bundles of blank notes. The 50 million yen ransom was back in police hands. This is a decoy, the American muttered under his breath. I wonder where. His words trailed off, but Kano had heard them. What did you expect? The detective demanded. Samples of that new drug in here? In there? As usual, Stanley gave no reply. The look on his face, however, told Kano he'd been right on the mark. Some of the backup team emerged from Tanaka's condo. Kano turned to them, feeling a sudden surge of anxiety for Maria. What's the situation in there? He asked. They told him that they'd found no one in Tanaka's rooms. So the hostage status remained unknown, and the main culprit had evaded capture. This case hadn't been solved, in fact. It was still unfolding in the worst way conceivable. And still, Stanley remained focused on the attache case, pondering it with a thoughtful expression. Look, Kano told him, I'm going to request that I be returned to my normal duties. Maria still needs to be rescued, and I still need to find out what happened to Hitomi and Detective Tatino. For once, Stanley actually responded. Hitomi? Yes, that's it. It makes perfect sense. They'd have her carry it. Huh? What do you mean? This whole attache case relay was a fake out. Whoa, slow down, Kano said, wishing he could calm himself with his words. Explain what you're talking about. Somehow, the kidnappers made contact with Kenji Osawa and got him to have Hitomi carry the drug, separate from the ransom. Wait, you're saying they had Hitomi bring them the drug? Stanley nodded. The case handoffs were some sort of camouflage, a way for them to keep the police distracted from their real goal. Kano nodded. It had indeed felt like the case relay was a decoy, an attempt to buy time. If this syndicate were after something else entirely, that would explain why so many of their actions had appeared to make no sense. So, Kano asked, what sort of drug is this? Why would they go to such lengths to get their hands on it? It's an antiviral, Stanley replied after some hesitation. A way to cure people infected with a very particular virus. What virus are we talking about? It's called UA. Never heard of it. Still, he can imagine the possibilities. Suppose this UA was something like the Ebola virus. We already know what that is. Or perhaps HIV. What about that too? HIV, yeah, it does kind of like Rona, but green. Human immunodeficiency virus. Yep. Destroys the cells that are essential for regulating cell-mediated immunity, considerably reducing immune response. Yep. This effect can result in infections that would ordinarily be fought off easily, developing into serious illness. There are various treatments, but as of yet, nothing that will eradicate the virus completely. Yeah. I mean, that thing's a mother. HIV and what is that other one? AIDS? Whew. Even the all too familiar influenza. Oh boy. That one's purple, yep. An infectious disease caused by the influenza virus. Symptoms are similar to that of the common cold. Oh, yep. But are much more severe. I think we've all had the flu once in our life, guys. If you haven't, oh, you're very blessed. And trust me, you don't want it. I mean, you'll have a cold first anyway. That's how it was with me. I had a cold first, and then it got worse. I think that next week it morphed into the flu. A terrible headache. I think I had a fever. Because you start sweating. That's usually a fever. You get that hot. You got body aches. You're hoarse. You can't talk. Your throat may be sore. Man, it's crazy. But are much more severe. Occasionally resulting in death. There are people who have died from the flu. And it's sad because it happens every year. So, with that being said, don't forget to get your flu shots, people. There are 3 main types of the virus: A, B, and C. With A and B causing the typical run of the illness in humans. Neuraminidase is recommended as an effective inhibitor, but this merely alleviates the symptoms and is not a complete cure. That's true. And I know I just say get the flu shot, but it's, it makes sure it's not as bad, but diet and exercise with the flu shots in tandem, you won't get it. And this is pre-COVID without a mask. And obviously, you should be washing your hands anyway. But you wash your hands and you won't get the flu. But at least I didn't. Let me retract that statement. I didn't. I can't speak for everyone else. A and B. B is bad. Influenza type B is real bad. C, I've never even heard of anyone catching C. I didn't even know there was a C. There were medicines that could treat all of those diseases, but nothing that could cure them completely. It's true. It's like, what that medicine, the neuraminidase, what it does is it does alleviate the symptoms, but it's like it gives you like an immunity, like it gives your body familiarization with the flu, so that your body knows how to fight it off. So when those free radicals enter your system, like through your respiratory droplets or whatever. 'Cause that's how you get stuff anyway. The same way you get corona is the same way you get the flu. It's going a bit off topic, and this is a gaming video, not a health medical video, but it is the respiratory droplets touching surfaces and then scratching. It's the same way. I remember I got a dude, I shook his hand. I met him, I shook his hand, we were talking. And then I noticed, like 30 minutes, he was coughing a lot. And then, later on, he found out he had like a cold or a flu or something like that. And I'm like, oh man, that's how I got it. Because I was sitting there thinking, how did I get it that year I got sick? And it's like, oh yeah, I shook his hand. And he was coughing that night. We were talking. I'm telling you, man, got to stay safe. Any drug that could do that, but that was back in like 2012-ish, I want to say. Late 2012. Would be worth vast sums of money. Any drug that could do that. Oh, so that's why they're after that drug. It's a complete cure, huh? Kano, do you have any means of getting in touch with Mr. Osawa? Yes, I know one of the detectives stationed at his home. Check in with him ASAP. Find out whether or not he gave the antiviral to Hitomi. Kano suppressed the scowl. It looked like he wasn't done assisting Stanley yet. He got out his cell phone and dialed up Kajiwara. Yo, this game is getting crazy, man. Kajiwara picked up promptly. Kano, what's going on? Could I speak with Mr. Osawa? I suppose that'll be alright. What for, though? There's something I need him to confirm for me. It's an emergency. Alright, just make sure not to tell him anything about the investigation. Sure thing. After a while, a man's hoarse voice came over the line. Sawa speaking. Can I help you? This is Detective Kano from the Shibuya precinct. Time is critical, so I need to just cut to the chase here. Kano took a deep breath. Did you give the antiviral drug to your daughter, Hitomi? Osawa let out a gasp. Oh, keep out. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. I said gentlemen. I said gentlemen. My name is Raven from the Sky. If you enjoyed the episode, do me a favor and drop a like and subscribe to the channel and the series grow. Take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. Peace.